Hi everyone, welcome to this session. I hope all of you are able to hear me. It will be great if somebody can just confirm in the YouTube chat. We'll get started very quickly. I'm just waiting for a quick confirmation from all of you and also waiting for maybe a few more people to join in before we get started with the session. Okay. Uh, just confirm anybody if you're able to hear me. Okay, all right. Great. Good afternoon, SRRS. Okay, Golu is asking, how was your exam? So I didn't take it this year. I wasn't well around that time, so I didn't take CET. But of course, have been following it for a long time, and of course, followed what happened this year as well. Got a chance to speak to a lot of students and mentors, and got insights in terms of what exactly happened. Today, I'm not here to talk about the CET, but I'm here to talk about what you're supposed to do after the CET, right? So let's focus on that. If any questions you have in terms of the post CET admission process, the application for PGDM, or whatever queries that you may have in general, feel free to ask these questions. I'm looking at the YouTube chat. So any question that you have, feel free to ask. Okay. All right. So let's get started with the session. And the first thing that I'm going to talk about is going to be the CET overview, right? So quickly going to summarize what happened in CET this year. Firstly, it was conducted over 3 days due to increased number of takers. So earlier, if you look at CET, it used to be conducted over 2 days and 2 slots each. So that used to be 4 slots. But this time it was conducted over 3 days because of the increase in the number of takers. What was found was, of course, there was a sectional breakup this time. So compared to the previous years where it has been completely jumbled or questions of a particular section appearing together without having any sort of a sectional breakup. But this time they had given a sectional breakup. So that's a good thing because it helps students to strategize better. So you can decide that, okay, the first 30 minutes I'm going to do abstract, then another 30 minutes of, let's say, verbal and so on. So that strategy element became a little easier for people to handle. Now, in terms of the marking scheme, no negative marking as usual, as it has been the case previously as well. And that's always a good thing, right? So whether you have attempted all 200 questions genuinely or not, doesn't matter. Everybody would mark all 200 questions, right? So whether you attempted, say, 130 genuine or 170 genuine, you will mark the remaining questions because there is no negative marking. So I'm assuming that everybody here ended up marking all 200 questions at least. And then finally, there was one very important thing, which is the difference in the difficulty level. And this is not something that we observed new, right? So this is something that has happened in the past as well, where among the slots, the difference of the difficulty was significant. And that's where the problem lies, right? So it's not a test which is uniform in nature in terms of how slot 1 versus slot 2 happens or day 1 versus day 2 happens. So the difficulty level, there were reports of people finding the test very, very difficult in some of the slots. I think particularly day 2, slot 2 was very, very difficult. Even day 2, slot 1 was quite difficult compared to what we saw on day 1 or day 3. Now, if that happens, right, which is the difference in difficulty, normalization basically takes care of it. But then the way CET normalizes is that they just create slot-wise percentile. So that is the last point that I wanted to talk about. And as I can see, somebody has asked how the normalization process works. So what CET does is, and this is what they had done last year as well. First and foremost, they don't release the raw score. So you will not be able to figure out how much did you actually score. So out of 200, did you get, say, a 127 or a 151, whatever it is, you will not be able to figure that out because they don't release the raw score. And there is no concept of scaled score also. So they will not release score in any form. What they will do is they will look at a particular slot. And for that slot, they will calculate percentile. As simple as that, right? So day 1, slot 1, day 2, slot 2. That is how they will calculate percentile. So for each of the slots, there will be a percentile calculation that will be done. And then that they will merge that together. What Because of that, what will happen is you're going to have 600 percentilers. So last year, that is what happened. That because in every slot, you would have 100 percentiler. Once you put that data together, and people will finally have 600 percentilers, right? So that is how they calculate the final percentile. So you're going to get your percentile slot wise. So it doesn't matter whether your slot was easy or somebody else's slot was difficult or more easy. What matters is your performance in your slot. So how have you done relative to people who took it in your slot? That is something that will decide your percentile. Okay, so that is how they will calculate the final percentile. Okay. Now, what are the next steps? And that is the more important thing now, because of course CET is done. You cannot do anything about it right now, right? So you may have this feeling that, oh, I didn't give my best, or this is the best that I could do, and whatever. There is nothing that can be done about it right now. So CET is history. The only thing that you have to do now is focus on what is the next thing for me, right? So the first thing that I will say is the results should be out within 3 to 4 weeks, right? Looking at the past trends, sometimes it is released in very short time, such as 2 weeks. Sometimes it takes more time. Last year, for example, if you look at it, the test was conducted on the 25th, 26th March, if I recall correctly. And because there was an issue, they had to do a retest, and because of which the centralized admission process got significantly delayed. In fact, it happened in June. But this time, because there have not been any reports of any major issue as such, there won't be any retest or something. And of course, because of that, we believe that things will happen on schedule. So the result should be out within 3 to 4 weeks. That's what we are thinking. Then, of course, you will have the centralized admission process. Okay, now centralized admission process is for MMS admissions. A lot of institutes have their PGDM programs as well. I'll show you some of these institutes. A lot of institutes have their PGDM programs for which you have to apply separately to the institute. So there are a lot of places where you have the MMS program as well as PGDM program. There are some places where it is only MMS. There are some places where it is only PGDM. Wherever you want to apply to for the PGDM program, you have to apply directly on the institute website. But wherever you are applying for the MMS program, it will happen through a centralized admission process. Okay, so that is going to be through the cap rounds, as they are referred to. Now, what you need to do is, of course, keep an eye on the deadlines for the PGDM. So wherever you're planning to apply, those institutes, go to their websites, figure out what the deadlines are, and start making your applications. Okay. I will talk about the difference between MMS and PGDM in my session today, and I'll show you some of the institutes where applications are open. Of course, there are a lot other institutes as well, and you can go to their respective websites. I will also show you how the cap rounds work. So what all documents are required, when it will typically happen, and all these things, right? So I'm going to be covering all these points as we go along. Okay. Now, the one very important thing is that no matter whether you're applying for CAP or PGDM or whatever, especially for CAP, I will say that you get your documents ready, because a lot of times we have seen this, that students wait till the last date, and because of which they are not able to make use of the benefits that they would have got, right? So whether it is your category certificates, the proof of income and all these things, and then more importantly, domicile certificate, right? Because the domicile certificate matters a lot. So if you are somebody who doesn't need it, that's a separate thing. For example, if you're born in Mumbai or born in Maharashtra, then of course you will not need a domicile certificate, right? Because you have a birth certificate. But then if at all you need domicile certificate, make sure that you do an application right away, and also you have to be eligible for it. So you can check out the eligibility and everything of domicile and see if you're eligible. If you're eligible, get it done. I would suggest that anybody who is eligible should get it done. It's just another piece of document is what we may think, but it is an important piece of document, right? So even if you don't need it, I think it's fine to just get it done. It's not going to be a lot of effort, right? So that's my take on getting the domicile certificate. Now let me talk about the CAP timeline. Okay, so CAP is centralized admission process. As I said, this is for the MMS admissions. So the Master of Management Studies program, which is the program for which all of you are trying, the institutes that have MMS program, they will participate in the CAP rounds. In CAP round, what happens is you fill one single form in which you can indicate preferences. So it will you will put all preferences that you have in one singular form. And then in 1, 2, and 3 rounds, there will be a seat allotment. And depending on whether you get the college of your choice or not, you can decide whether you want to join that institute or sit in the subsequent round for a better option. Okay. So how things work is, firstly, the CET result will be out. Within 3 to 4 weeks, roughly, let's hope that the result comes out. And once the CET result comes out, right, after a few days or weeks, you're going to have CAP rounds. And CAP round, there will be an announcement, first of all, wherein you register for CAP. Okay. Now, at this point of time, you are going to need those documents. So when you register for CAP rounds, you're going to need your income documents or your category certificates, your domicile certificates, and all these things. So that is why try and get those documents done at the earliest. Then what will happen is once people submit their preferences and everything, once people get their not preferences, sorry, once people have registered for the cap rounds and your documents have been verified, then there will be a provisional merit list that the CET cell will bring out, post which there will be a final merit list. And after that, you of course have your cap rounds, wherein you indicate your preferences. Now, once you get your college, of course, there'll be commencement of academic activities. Typically, that happens depending on when cap rounds have started, either in the month of June, July, August, right? So you never know when finally things will start. That depends a lot on when the cap rounds begin. Okay. For example, when I was a student, we used to have CET around Feb, right? And then finally the colleges used to open around August, right? So that is how it used to be. Even last year, in fact, a lot of colleges opened in August. So you never know when finally it will happen. Most of the times it happens around June or July. June unlikely, but July or August is what you're looking at. But cap rounds ideally should begin somewhere in the month of April or May. Okay. So get your documents ready, have all those things in place. I will show you how to find all the cutoffs of individual institutes and categories, because this is an important thing that a lot of students don't know how to find, and they're not able to understand these documents, because of which it becomes a problem for them. So they keep asking others as to what the cutoffs are, whereas that information is available at your fingertips. So I'm going to show you how to do that. In addition to that, I'll just quickly talk about this MMS versus PGDM thing, because a lot of you right now must be in that confusion as to should I do an MMS, should I do a PGDM? So let me talk about MMS first of all, right? Now, MMS is a degree, right? Ultimately, it's a university degree that you get. And the other advantage, of course, is there is no group discussion or interview process that is conducted. So whatever CET score that you get, basis that whatever rank that you get, on that rank, you're going to get an allotment, right? There won't be any group discussion or interview which is part of that selection process. It's just pure written test score. The third thing is higher return on investment, because at a lot of places where there are two programs offered, you will see that the MMS fee is on the lower side, the PGDM fee is on the higher side, right? And lastly, it's established credibility, because ultimately it's a university degree. The final certificate that you get, it is going to say a Mumbai University or a Pune University or whatever it is, wherever you do your MBA from, right? So that is going to be a university degree, which is the biggest advantage of MMS as a program. But what are the cons, right? Let's understand that as well. Firstly, less diverse batch, because the way it works is, you know that 70% of the seats are reserved for the home university, 15% for outside home university, and 15% for all India. Because of which what happens is you don't have a lot of diversity in the batch. The other thing is the course structure is very fixed. So the university defined curriculum that is there, the college has to follow that curriculum, right? So you have very fixed course structure, and that could be a con as well, right? Now, speaking of the PGDM program, so PGDM program is run by the institute. So let's say, for example, a Wellinger, right? Now, Wellinger has MMS program, Wellinger has a PGDM program as well. The PGDM program, the entire administration of that is conducted by Wellinger. So they decide what the curriculum should be and so on and so forth, what the fees should be, when the admission cycle should happen, what tests they want to accept, and all of that. The first and foremost advantage of a PGDM program is that the course content is flexible. So the college or the B school has flexibility to decide what curriculum they want to have. The second thing is diversity. So because they have opened admissions through all the other tests as well, whether it is CAT, ZAT, ATMA, MAT, CMAT, etc., because of that, they have a lot of diversity as well. Another thing is the written test weightage is low, right? So if somebody has got a low score in the written test, that person still has an opportunity to get into this program by doing well on the group discussion or VAT or interview, whatever is that selection process. So it is like a second chance to somebody who has not done very well on the written test. And finally, the placement opportunities are similar. At most of the places, MMS and PGDM students sit together finally for the placements. So for the recruiters, it doesn't really matter whether you've done an MMS or a PGDM, because both are 2-year full-time programs. So the recruiters know that information. So they don't really care whether you're from MMS or from PGDM. And at a lot of places, as I said, the placements happen together. So you don't really have to worry on that front. What are the cons, however? Firstly, it is diploma offered by the institute, which means that you have to go to a nice place and do it. Don't go to a college which a lot of people have not even heard of, right? So going to some private college that nobody knows, nobody's aware of, the placements don't really happen, etc. I don't see really the point of going to a place like that, because it is diploma offered by the institute. Your CV post MBA is going to say PGDM from XYZ institute. It is not going to say MMS from a particular university, right? That is where the con of a PGDM is. But if you go to a top institute, then it's not a problem, right? And finally, slightly higher fee structure. So compared to an MMS program, a PGDM will have higher fee structure. Depending on which institute you're talking about, it could be 1.5 times the MMS fees, or even maybe double of that. So you never know how they are structuring the entire fee structure. I would just say that you take a call basis the brand of the institute. If you think that the institute has a good brand, there is a nice recognition from a lot of recruiters. Every year they are able to place majority of the students. The placement stats are decent. If all of those things are in place, then it makes sense to go for a PGDM. Otherwise, in the same institute, I can prefer an MMS simply because I'll get a university degree at the end of the entire program. Okay. So that's about the difference. Of course, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be very happy to answer the questions. What I'm going to do now is going to take you to some of the documents, right? Because these documents, I believe, firstly, a lot of people don't know that they exist. And if at all they know that they exist, they don't know how to use it, right? So that's what I'm going to focus on, so that all of you know where to find this information, right? So first of all, what you need to search, right, is if you just do a Google search, CET 2023 cap rounds, okay, you will encounter this particular result. And this is the website that I'm referring to, okay? So the website goes by mba2023.mahacet.org.in/CET MBA 23, okay? Now, once you are on this website, this basically contains all the information regarding the cap rounds for the MMS admissions from last year, okay? So what you first need to look at is important dates, because this is going to show you what all things happened last year, what was the timeline. Of course, as I said, because there was a retest last year, things got delayed a little bit and so on. But then what you at least know that, okay, once the registration opens, how much time do people get before they finally submit things? Okay. Now, there could be some extensions and all of that. Keep also that as one of the factors. But then I know last year, for example, it started around 28th, right? 28th June, and it went on till 20th July, right? The initial time was, I think they had extended this. I don't remember the exact time that they had started for, but they definitely had extended this. And then finally, display of the provisional merit list happened around 22nd July. So it is typically, you can say, 3 weeks after they open the cap rounds. Okay. And then there were grievance submission and then final merit list, which happened on 20th July. Assuming that this year it happens earlier, so let's say that it happens in June or something. Then once the final merit list is out, right, you're going to have a provisional category-wise seat matrix. I'll show you how the seat matrix looks. Seat matrix essentially shows you how many seats of individual categories are there in each of the institutes. So it will show you, for example, in JBIMS for general category, how many seats are there. Okay. Then you have cap round 1, where you have online submission and confirmation of option form through your login. Okay. After that, they will display an allotment. After that, you have to decide whether you want to join the college or participate in subsequent rounds, and so on and so forth. And the process continues. So there'll be a cap round 1, then a cap round 2, and then a final cap round 3. Okay. So that's how the process works. You basically fill one form in which you indicate all the MMS preferences that you have. Within the same thing, you also put the tuition fee waiver scheme preferences if you are eligible. So there is a tuition fee waiver scheme. In case anybody is eligible for that, as per the definition of it, then you can also put those preferences at the time of submitting your preference. Okay. Now let's go back to the home screen, because the first thing that I'm going to show you is going to be the seat matrix. Okay. So there are all the documents are available here itself. You don't have to do a lot of searching for it. What you will see is, firstly, all of these are merit list. So the bottom 4 links that you see, these are merit list from last year. Don't really have to look at it. I mean, it doesn't really matter. what you want to check out is firstly the provisional seat matrix. Now, the provisional seat matrix, as I said, shows you different seats that are available for different categories, right? So if I search, say, a Jamnalal Bajaj, this is how it will give me the seat matrix. So what it is showing you is that there are, this is the institute code, first of all, and there are 120 seats, 102 Maharashtra, 18 All India seats, and then the breakup of these seats, okay? EWS 12, TFWS 6, and you will see a TFWS choice code as well. So this is important. A lot of times students don't realize that if they're eligible for TFWS and they want to opt for it, they have to enter that as a preference. Because if they don't, they will not be eligible for tuition fee waiver scheme seats that are out there. So there are the regular seats that you will select you with this particular choice code, which is 300110210. And if you're applying and you are eligible for the tuition fee waiver scheme, you will apply for the same institute code followed by a T as well. So those of you are eligible, keep that in mind. You should be putting it in the preference. Otherwise, you will not be able to claim those seats. So this is the provisional seat matrix. It gives you how many seats are there. All right. Let me show you maybe another example. Let's look at Wellinkar. So as you can see in Wellinkar, there are 78 Maharashtra state seats, 18 All India seats, right? Then 12 EWS, 6 TFWS, and so on and so forth, right? So in every institute, you will have clarity as to how many seats are there. Okay? Now, the next thing that matters is what were the cutoffs like? Okay? So I will say that you should be looking at cap round 1, and then you should look at cap round 3 as well. The reason for that is cap round 1 shows you what is your chance at a particular institute in the first round. But if you were to sit and try for the subsequent rounds, what may happen is shown by the cap round 3 cutoffs. So now within cutoff documents, so let me go to this one, right? So cutoff for merit for Maharashtra and minority seats and so on. So there are two things here. There is All India and there is Maharashtra. Okay, let me maybe zoom in a little bit so that everybody is able to see it. So you can see cutoff. Okay, let's go here. So cutoff cap round 1, and this is Maharashtra cutoff. Okay. So if I click on this, let me show you this document, and it contains basically all the category wise cutoffs. And I'm going to pick JBIMS as an example. Okay, so let's go here. So as you can see, it shows you all the cutoffs. Now, how to read this, right? So you have G Open S, GSCS, GSTS, and so on. So the middle part, if you ignore the G and S, the middle part is the category. S at the end indicates whether it is a state seat or not. Okay. So GSCS means SC category state seat. And then it shows you the percentile cutoff, right? So now you know that, okay, SC first round, last year it closed at 99.46. Now this year, of course, the cutoffs may not remain exactly the same, okay, because of the increase in the number of takers and so on. So there will be minor changes that will happen. But then this at least gives you a nice idea that, okay, if I've got a 99.90 or more, I know that I have a chance at JBIMS, okay, in the first round. So of course, your first preference is going to be JBIMS, right? And similarly, you can find for all the other categories. So you can find for EWS, TFWS, orphan, what were the exact cutoffs last year, right? You will be able to locate all of that information through this document. Now, let me take some other example, because let me pick something where there is a bifurcation between home university and outside home university seats. Okay. So Wellinkar is again state, so it should not help us. Let's go to Sydenham. Yeah. So if we go to Sydenham, you will see multiple tables. So you see a G Open H. Okay. Now what this G Open H is, it's essentially home university open. So if you're from Mumbai University and you're trying from Sydenham, Mumbai University is home university for Sydenham, right? Same university. So that is why you will be looking at these cutoffs. So you will say, okay, 99.57. If I'm open category, home university from Mumbai University, if I'm there is a good chance, right? So if I get, let's say 99.6 or a 99.65 or whatever, I have a very good shot at Sydenham. Okay, so that is how you read this information. If you're from some other university, let's say you studied at Pune University, and now you're trying for Sydenham, which is a Mumbai University college. So then you will look at this figure, which is open, the G Open O. So that O at the end stands for outside home university. And then finally, you have the All India seats as well, right? So let me show you the All India cutoffs, which is in a separate document, all right? So this is for the state seats. In some cases, it may be bifurcated as home university and outside home university. The other document that you will see is cutoff for All India seats. Now, what are All India seats? All India seats are essentially the ones where anybody, whether you are a Maharashtra student or not a Maharashtra student, you can apply for these seats, okay? And the cutoffs, of course, will be higher because there are fewer seats. As you saw, JBMS has only 18 seats. Even in Wellinkar, we saw 18 seats, right? So for All India, the seats are on the lower side. The advantage, however, that a Maharashtra student has is that you can apply for these as well. Whereas somebody who does not get classified into a state candidate by any definition of state candidate, for example, somebody who has done 10, 12 graduation, everything from some other state is residing in that state, that person can only try for All India seats. Okay, and they are very limited in number. So there the cutoffs are going to shoot up. As you can see, JBMS cutoff was 99.99. And even at 99.99, you will have a lot of people. So within that, there are some exams where they give 6 percentile up to 6 decimals and so on. So all those things will start making some difference, right? They have a mechanism in which they produce that ranking. Those things are not in our control. What we just need to understand is what should be my score to get to a certain college, right? So if I look at this table, it gives you a nice idea of what the figures are. So Sidnam, for example, if I'm trying, right? What score do I need? And when I say what score do I need, it could be from some other exam also. So last year, they accepted CET, SCAT, CMAT, MAT, ATMA. So if you are somebody who has not taken MAT ATMA, you can still take MAT ATMA and try for these seats because they're going to accept. Mostly they will. We don't know yet because we have to wait till the cap rounds begin or the notification comes at least by when they will announce it. Right now, we don't know whether they will accept. But the only thing that I'm going to do is I'm not going to rely on my luck. I'm going to say last year they accepted MAT ATMA. Let me try for it. So those of you already taken, let's say, MAT or ATMA in Feb, and you have those scores, whenever the next MAT ATMA happens, right? As long as it happens before the cap rounds and you have that score, you will be considered eligible for admission through those scores as well. So there are a lot of people, and I will show you, let me see if I can show you that. Because what happens is in the final merit list, that data is visible. So let me go to the final merit list for all India candidates, okay? Okay. This might be slightly difficult to read, but let me show you how this looks. So for example, as you can see here, this person last year, who was the ranked one, this person applied through the CMAT score, right? Again, through CMAT. This person applied through CET score. Somebody applied through CAT score, right? Then CMAT, CET, right? So within all India, you can apply through other tests as well. As you can see, this person got a 99.99 on the MAT and had submitted that score instead of the CET score, correct? So you can take these additional tests such as MAT, ATMA, because that opportunity is still there. CMAT, there is no announcement as of now, but let's say if it happens, you can submit that score also. Now, which score will help you to get to a particular college? That will depend on your score, right? So if your score, let's say, higher on one particular test, that will be considered for ranking purposes, okay? So that is how you have to look at the whole thing, right? The game is not over yet. You still have your MAT, ATMA, your CMAT, etc. So whatever has happened in the CET, I would suggest that all of you look at CMAT at least. Definitely MAT, ATMA can also be considered, right? So don't leave it on chance because you never know what the CET result is going to be. And rather than waiting and thinking, okay, let the CET result come out, then I will decide whether I should take other tests or not. No, right? So I will start looking at CMAT, MAT, ATMA because these three things will increase my chance of getting into a good college through the all India seat route. Okay. For MMS admissions, for the state seats, they don't look at CET, they don't look at CMAT, MAT, ATMA. But for all India, they will be looking at some of these tests. Okay, so let's hope they accept all the tests, which is MAT, ATMA, etc. Different people have different opinions on it as to why they do it, why they announce it so late, etc. We are not going to get into that. Whatever they say, if they accept it, it's fine. If they don't accept it, it's their call, right? I'm just hoping that because they have not yet announced it, ideally they should accept, because a lot of people, especially people who are not from Maharashtra, must have been thinking of taking the CMAT MAT ATMA for this, right? So it kind of becomes unfair to them. Okay, so let's see when they finally announce all these things. But mentally, I'll start preparing for, and of course, actual preparation also for CMAT MAT ATMA. All right. Okay. Another thing that I'm going to show you is, of course, the PGDM, right? Because now centralized admission process will anyway happen once they announce it. But for PGDM, I'm just going to show you some of the examples, right? So, for example, Wellinger, right? Now, Wellinger PGDM, they have given as to what the eligibility is. They have given what you should have taken as a test. So, for example, CAT, ZAT, ATMA Feb 24, CMAT 24, etc. Then, for example, SIS, right? SIS also has a PGDM program. As you can see, the registrations are open right now. You can, I think the deadline is 15th March, as you can see. So again, they have given a list of tests that they accept, right? So you can look at what all tests they accept, see if you have already taken it or you are planning to take it. Let's look at something like Dalmia, right? If you scroll down here, I think they had given somewhere what all test score that they look at, right? So see this: CAT 23, ZAT 24, CMAT 24, CET 24, MAT 23 24, ATMA 23 24. So as I said, the game is not over. If somebody has messed up CET for whatever reasons, right, and you're considering PGDM applications, ensure that you take these other exams, because you never know what will eventually happen, right? A lot of people get very good colleges because they end up taking these exams, and people who don't know, they miss out on that opportunity, right? So that is why don't take things lightly. Some of the colleges have not even announced it yet. For example, a college such as Chetna has not announced the PGDM. So last year they started it in around mid-March, and last date of submission was till June. So in some places you will have ample time. You can even apply after CET result. But in some cases, for example, such as Bellinger or SIS, you will have to take that call right now, okay, whether you are going to apply or not. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Let's go to some of the questions that the students have asked. And I will show you, I'll keep this as my screen because, or rather, let me pick from slot from cap round 3 of last year for all India, so that all of you know roughly what is the ranking. See, because the data that you see here, right, it essentially shows you what the ranking is. Okay. So let's open this file. I'm just going to keep that as my screen so that all of you can have a look at that. Okay. And let me jump to the questions from all of you who are attending the session live. Please explain normalization process. As I explained at the beginning, what they will do is, which is what they had done last year, is just announce the slot-wise percentile. So day 1, slot 1, there will be a separate document. Day 1, slot 2, there will be a separate document. So they release PDF, which is what they did last year. It does not contain score or scaled scores or nothing. There is no scaling that they do. It's just slot-wise percentile calculation, and that's about it. Okay. Slot 4, please analysis. So I think it was very difficult. That's the only report that we have, that there were a lot of random questions in puzzles. The difficulty was comparable to CAT ZAT in some cases. So see, again, if it was difficult, don't worry, because everybody will get assessed on that slot, right? On that particular test. So it's not that your percentile will get affected by somebody who took it in slot 1. It is just about your slot. So if it was difficult in your slot, and let's say, I don't know, let's say 30,000 people took it in your slot, your percentile will be calculated basis those 30,000 people. So it doesn't matter how many people took it on, say, day 1, slot 1, or what was the difficulty of day 1, slot 1. Okay. Aditya Kulkarni, will CMAT happen? We don't know yet. No announcement whatsoever. So let's see. It's wait and watch for everybody at this point of time. Kiran, do you think slot-wise percentile is fair? Okay, so there are different schools of thought. Some people say it's fair, some people say it's not fair. It's fine as long as the number of people in each of the slots is more or less the same. So if you had, let's say, almost 30,000 people taking it in every slot, right? Plus or minus 1,000, right? I think that's okay. But then if you had significant differences, so in one slot you have 30,000 people, in the other you have 10,000 people, then it is not fair. Okay, so that's how I look at it. मोहित slot 4 वाले भी ये सब document collect करें. Obviously, right? Because again, as I said, it's percentile basis your slot. So it is not going to be relative to others. So it's not that day one slot one was easy. So let's say somebody gets a 150, let's say the topper, but maybe day four, the topper is only 120. The topper still gets a 100 percentile in that slot. So it should not matter as to what was the difficulty of the other slots. So don't worry. Of course, you have to hope that you have done well in your slot. That's about it. Do you come up with the video about registration of CAP process? Yes, we will once it begins. Will CET release response sheets? It has never happened. So we don't think it will happen. Some people had mentioned, I think at the beginning also, before when the registration started, etc., that they're going to release the response sheet. I don't really see that happening with CET. Okay, especially with things such as difference in difficulty level and all of that. I strongly doubt it. But let's wait and watch. Gautam is asking, do you think PGDM is worth it? Gautam, see, there are, of course, pros and cons, as I said, right? So as long as it is from a good institute, a branded institute, I think you can go. But do not go to random places, right? Do not go to some institute that does not have good placement, does not have great ranking. So there I will always prefer an MMS because I get a university degree. But I will not prefer a PGDM from that same institute. Okay. The tech guru is saying historically CET has never released a response sheet, but last year they told that they would try to release it next year. Again, I am not going to go with that because we don't know, right? So I strongly doubt whether they will. Cutoff of slot 5, you don't know what the cutoffs will be, first of all. I'm suggesting that all of you go through this link and go through these documents to understand what the cutoffs were. See, because ultimately everything depends on the final percentile and the rank. It is not going to be based on your score. So it's not that, oh, I got 120 in slot 4 versus I got 135 in slot 1. Ultimately, it's my percentile that matters. And basis that percentile, what rank I get, that matters. So don't worry too much about it, I would say right now. Let the result come out. Slot 5 JBMS cutoff should be similar to slot 1, which many claim to come around 150 plus. Possible, right? So in easy papers, JBMS cutoff has gone to 150 or more. So if the paper was easy, let's say, in that particular paper, somebody has attempted, let's say, 180, 185, 190 genuinely, that's a nice place to be. But finally, what the cutoff will come out to be, we don't know. Slot 3 cutoff, slot 4 cutoff. Again, doesn't matter, right? So whether you're taken in slot 3 or slot 4 doesn't really make a difference. Whatever slot that you're taken in, you're going to get a slot-wise percentile. And that's your final percentile, correct? So slot 4 topper, let's say is at 120, that person will get 100 percentile. Let's say slot 5 topper is at 150, that person will also get 100 percentile. Okay, so keep that in mind. Slot 3, many say to be between 135 to 140. Yeah, if it is a difficult paper, generally cutoff will fall down. So standard used to be, if it is easy paper, a 150 plus takes you to JB. If it is moderate, a 140 takes you to JB. If it is difficult, a 130 plus takes you to JB. Anyone remembers fill in the blanks answer of slot 3? Ruwan, I would suggest that don't even get into it, right? I mean, what's the point? It's 200 questions out of which you will remember a few questions. Why there's absolutely no reason as to why you should be worrying about these things. Just focus on the next things, right? CMAT, MAT, ATMA, PGDM applications, all of those things matter more rather than some of the questions that you have done on that day. Okay, what's the difference between provisional and final merit list? Okay, so sometimes what happens is people try to act smart and they try to do some funny things, right? So they will put some fake documents, there will be some discrepancies, etc. So provisional and final, the only difference is that if there is some issue that has happened, either from the student's end, which is submitting some wrong document, because of which your rank has fallen. So now you see that, okay, my percentile maybe I've entered incorrectly or whatever. Those issues get fixed. So that's the difference between provisional and final merit list. Okay. Will CET release response sheet? As I said earlier as well, strongly doubt that. kindly shed some light on slot for cutoff marks for JB. Is 115, 120 enough? Difficult to say. Very, very difficult to say. See, because firstly, I didn't take the test in that slot, right? I didn't take the test at all this year. Uh, Even if I had, right, I would have been in a position to say, okay, what, let's say, a 99.9 plus percentile would look like. But then you never know how others have performed. So all percentile prediction has some bias in it. It is not going to be 100% accurate as well. So I honestly don't know whether 115, 120 might be sufficient. The only thing that I can say is, in the past, wherever we have seen a very difficult paper, JBMS cutoff has been around 130. So if you are somebody who's looking at that, I think it's a good position to be in. But again, we never know what the final thing will be. See, because they stopped announcing scores, because earlier they used to give raw score. So people used to see, okay, I got a 137, I got a 135, whatever. Now that data is not available. So last year, when I had taken the test, the final result came out. It was just the percentile. So I don't know what my score was, right? So it's very difficult to ascertain these things. Don't really try and sit and think too much about it. I'll just say wait for the result and just prepare for the next stage. Is Maharashtra CET percentile eligible for PGDM programs offered by some of the well-known institutes? In some cases, yes. For example, as you can see, in case of Dalmia, they accept the CET scores, right? But at some places, they don't. So Wellinger, for example, does not accept CET scores for PGDM admissions. Okay. So wherever, whichever institute you're considering, go to that institute website and go through their details. What is the process of PGDM? Okay, so for PGDM, generally what they'll do is you apply to the institute directly, post which there will be a group discussion and interview, right? So as you can see for this institute, which is Chetna, there is an application form submission, document verification, then personal interview, some online personal interview, display of merit list, right? So different institutes follow different things. If you go to Dalmia, they will look at the test score, which has 40% weight. Then there is interview, there's group discussion, there is past academic performance weight, there is work and extracurricular weight as well. So different institutes follow different processes. You just have to go to the institute website and check things out. Kumar, as CMAT's exam is going to be late and the result will also be late, will it affect the admission process in colleges? It may, right? But see, if at all CMAT happens, right? Typically, it may happen in April or May itself. Now, they announce the results very quickly. So that's a good thing about NTA, that typically they can announce the results within 2 to 3 weeks. So by the time your cap rounds begin, mostly you're going to have your CMAT results. But if at all it doesn't happen by then, right, there's nothing that we can do about it. That is why I've been saying that MAT and ATMA is a good alternative. You should look at those tests if you're considering applying under all India seats. And of course, for PGDM admission as well. If the percentile is released slot-wise, how will the ranks be allotted? Okay, so they have a mechanism for that, as I showed you some time back, right? So if you go to the final merit list, right? So if you look at this, there will be people with the same score, right? And there will be some ranking. I think they look at things such as 10, 12, grad marks, etc. So there are a lot of these things. I think they have given that in the CET cap document as well. So they will consider, okay, all people at a particular. So you will see a lot of CET 100 percentiles, right? You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 100 percentiles from CET. Because last year they announced slot-wise percentile, which is what they're going to do now. Between these people, how that ranking gets decided, I think they've given it in the cap document, but they look at your 10, 12th grad and things like that. Okay. Can you make a video regarding all exams post CET and their tentative timelines? There are only few exams, right? So 3 exams to track, CMAT, MAT, ATMA. That's about it, because CUET PG is happening today and it has got nothing to do with the CET or the PGDM colleges in Maharashtra. So the only thing to track would be MAT, ATMA, and CMAT. Okay. First rank would be allotted to the lowest top scorer across all the 5 slots, as that would be considered the hardest slot, but we can't confirm if CET would follow the same process. We don't know. And again, no point getting into the detailed mechanisms as well. Does CAT score till now will be accepted for CET colleges PGDM? Yes. So most of the colleges will mention CAT 23. So that will definitely be accepted. General, how much change in provisional and final merit list? Someone opts out of CAP, then does it change the final merit list? See, if somebody opts out of CAP, right, that impacts your round 1, round 2 allotment that happens. What happens is provisional and final, there won't be a lot of changes. Changes happen because there could be some errors. So somebody, let's say, submitted a MAT scorecard, right? And has written 99.99 is what I've obtained. But then that person has a 99.89 and the scorecard is 99.89. So that those things will get captured in that provisional final thing. Also, it gets captured during the document verification itself. But if at all there are some errors, that may get highlighted. Apart from top 4 colleges of MMS, which colleges are good? Okay, so again, the ranking is more or less like this. So you have JB, Sydenham, Wellinger, Pumba, right? They become the top 4 through CET. And then you have SIES, COEP, Chetna, MET, Lala, Indira, Vivekanand, Rizvi, and so on. So this document, again, as I said, go through all these documents. It will give you clarity on what typically the ranking is. Okay. All right, we are almost reaching towards the end of the session, the duration that we had planned. Any questions, anything that I have not been able to answer, let me know in the chat window and I'll pick it up. Xavier's SIES, you may consider. Okay, yeah, I mean, of course, you can look at any colleges that you think will take you to where you want to go, right? See, the way I see it, a lot of times people say that don't go to this college, don't go to that college. But then the point is that every year, so many students go to these colleges. So it's easy to be a critic and say this college is not good. But then this does not change the fact that every year, so many people go to these colleges and are able to do something with their life. So we are not here to sit and critique colleges, right? We are here to say, okay, these are the chances that you have. These are the options that you have. Take your chances, see where you land up. And after that, depending on what is your career aspiration, what sort of things you want for yourself, you decide. Okay. So, but you don't take that decision today. You take it after the allotment has happened. So right now, just focus on, okay, what the CET result will be. Once that result is out, alongside your CMAT, MAT, ATMA, etc., PGDM applications, do all of that. And once finally you have the results, then you can decide. Then somebody can actually sit with you and help you this or that. So a lot of students, when they ask, should I do PGDM here versus MMS here? There is an answer to that question, but I'm not going to give you that answer today, right? I'm going to give you that answer once the results come out. Can you paste the link? I'm very sorry, I'll not be able to paste it because the chat is there on my phone, whereas I'm logged in from my laptop. So the link for the main website is this. It's MBA2023 .mahcet.org.in. Okay. Even if you do a Google search, CET 2023 cap round website, you should be able to locate this. At 75 percentile in CAT, which colleges can I get? You can definitely try for some of the PGDM programs. A lot of places they have published the eligibility, but some places such as say Adalmia or a Chetna, they will not publish that eligibility, right? So in terms of the percentile, even for SIS. But for Wellinger, they have given. Let me see if I can show you that quickly. See, all of this information is there. You just have to be inquisitive, go to the college website and check it out. So if I go to the Wellinger website, under PGDM, I can see for CAT, the eligibility for PGDM, EBIZ, Research Business Analytics is 80. But for retail, media, entertainment, business design, it's 75, right? So at 75.59, you are eligible. So take a chance. And of course, consider ATMA as well, consider CMAT as well, right? I think ATMA is only Feb for them, but CMAT can definitely be considered. What's your guess on when the result will be out? 3 to 4 weeks. Let's hope it releases early, but 3 to 4 weeks is what we are looking at. Okay. All right. I think I've answered most of the questions and I don't see anything pending. As I said, definitely look at, just to summarize, right, quickly the discussion that we have had so far. Your CET result should be out within 3 to 4 weeks, right? Whatever happens, That's your percentile. There's nothing that you can change about it right now. So what I'm going to do is, because for all India seats, they accept CMAT, MAT, ATMA as well, I'm going to start thinking of these three tests. The advantage will also be that you can apply for a lot of PGDM programs through these scores. So you definitely consider these three. In addition to this, I'm going to be looking at the document requirement, right? So for last year, if I go to the website, I'll be able to know what all documents are required: domicile certificate, category certificate, income proofs, anything. I will start collecting those documents, right? So that I'm ready for cap rounds whenever they announce it. All right. And then finally, take a decision once you've converted things. Right now, don't sit and figure out what your chances will be, etc. All the information is there on this website regarding cutoffs of last year, seats, all India cutoffs, everything. Go through it. And I'll suggest that you download these documents and keep it, because sometimes they delete the website. So they will remove it. I would suggest that all of you download and keep it with you, right? So I have done it. I have all these documents with me. I don't know when they're going to remove this. So that is why download, keep it with you for reference. Okay. One question that I saw just now is, mostly all PGDM CET colleges consider GDPI. Yes, because they're part of their process, right? So pretty much everywhere there'll be some thing, either a GD or a group discussion plus PI kind of a process. So GDPI will happen for PGDM admissions, because for them, that's how they will shortlist, they'll filter people. Right? All right, great. I think I've answered all the questions. More or less, we're done. So thanks everyone for joining, and hope this has helped you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment once we are done with the live stream. You can drop in a comment and I'll try and get back at the earliest. Thank you so much for watching. Those of you who are taking CUET PG today, all the best to you. And for others, of course, all the best for the results and everything that is going to happen from here. Okay. Thanks everyone. Bye and take care.